Welcome everyone. Today in this lecture we are going to start a new chapter which is in 11th NCERT textbook biology, chapter number 1, which is living world. Don't underestimate this chapter. This is a small chapter but it has its own weightage. Means from this chapter 2 questions sure shot they will come. The third question, it depends on the distribution. Okay, so 2 questions means 8 marks, right? You will get. So it's an easy chapter because it's an introduction to biology. It will be easy, but then read it thoroughly, right? Let's start the chapter. 11th standard NCERT chapter number 1. The name of the chapter is living world. So I told you like in which way we have to read NCERT means, so we should not miss the essence of NCERT. Each and every line of NCERT you have to read, because I told you they'll play with the sentences, they'll play with the nouns, verbs and all those things, and they'll ask you whether the statement is right or wrong. Sometimes they'll give you assertion and reasons. So that's why not to miss the tinge of NCERT, I usually teach with the sentences of NCERT only. We'll read the sentence and we'll try to understand what is the meaning of the sentence, right? I'll give the explanation for that. Let us see. How wonderful is the living world, isn't it? Now if you go to a park, or if you go to a lake, or you go to a forest area or a hill station, now we feel very happy looking into the nature, right? It's very wonderful. Why? Means there are different types of creatures. There are different types of creatures in the nature, right? Now some grow in normal conditions, ordinary conditions, whereas life is present in extraordinary conditions also, extreme conditions also. What do you mean by extreme conditions? Extreme cold also, life is there. Chilled conditions. Extreme hot also, in desert also life is there. Hot springs, thermal springs also life is there. Life is there in deciduous forests where the leaves all will fall down and the tree and trunk will become dark and all dry and all. There also life is there, and life is there in evergreen forests also. These two are the extremes. These two are the extremes. Life is there in marine water, oceans, under deep oceans also life is there. Life is there in freshwater lakes also. So under extreme conditions, under extraordinary conditions also life is there. That's what the author is trying to tell us. Now, living creatures, they show ecological conflict. What do you mean by ecological conflict? Means they fight among themselves. They fight among themselves either for a common shelter, or for food, or for mating behaviors. So ecological conflict means living organisms, they fight among themselves. If this is one extreme, the other extreme is they help each other. They help each other. Now the organisms which are in a population, they'll be helping with each other, and the populations within a community will be helping with each other. So not only they are present at extreme climatic conditions, they show extreme behavioral patterns also. They'll be helping, they'll be fighting. Now huge molecular traffic is there inside the cell. If cell is there, means life is there. Inside the cell, the content is called protoplasm. If protoplasm is there, then life is there. Now inside this protoplasm is made up of many molecules. The protoplasm is made up of many molecules, and those molecules are not static like this. I'm standing at one place. They keep on moving. There's a complex traffic of molecules inside the cell. Now all these points, they are making us think like what is living, what is life. So then the author is asking like what is life, and then he's telling like this question, what is life, has 2 questions inside. One, we can think what is life in scientific way, which is called as technical way. The other one, we can explain what is life in philosophical way also. Okay, so in religious point of view also we can tell what is life. In scientific way also we can tell what is life. So let us not talk about this one. Since we are talking about science and biology, let us try to explain what is life in scientific way, in technical way, right? Can you explain life in a single sentence or in a single word? It is difficult to define. So then how can we define life? Means we can define life depending on or by reading about or by explaining the characters what are living organisms will exhibit. So we will try to define living by taking the characteristics what living organisms will exhibit. What are the characteristics living organisms will exhibit? So the marker pen which is in my hand is a non-living thing. So after 1 week if I see also it will be of the same size. After 1 year if I see also it will be of the same size. Means it will not grow. Whereas living organisms, they grow, right? So what are the characters living organisms will exhibit? Means they exhibit growth, no? And reproduction. From one generation the genes will be carried on to the next generation. F1 generation will come, F2 generation will come, right? Inheritance of characters. So living organisms excuse me, they reproduce. So they exhibit growth they exhibit reproduction and metabolism. What is metabolism? Means the molecules which are present inside the cytoplasm, inside the cell. Now they keep on making, they keep on breaking. So glucose is made, glucose is broken down. When is glucose broken down? To give energy. When glucose is made, so when we are starving from fat and protein, glucose is made by gluconeogenesis, means metabolism. We'll see one by one character in detail. So growth is exhibited by living organisms. Reproduction is also exhibited in living organisms. Metabolic reactions also living organisms will exhibit. Then cellular organization. I told you a cell has protoplasm. Now cells are organized to make a tissue, to make an organ system, to make an organism. This is called organization, cellular organization. Living organisms exhibit cellular organization. Then consciousness, right? So we are conscious about the surroundings. We are conscious about the environment, whether it is day or night, we are aware of, right? So whether it is a peaceful place for us or it is a noisy place for us, we are conscious of, right? So consciousness living organisms will exhibit. Then irritability. Now response, receiving the stimuli and responding to the stimuli, sometimes positively, sometimes negatively, is called irritability. So all these are the characters through which we are trying to explain living. We are trying to define living by taking the distinct characteristics what living organisms will exhibit, like growth, reproduction, then metabolism, cellular organization, consciousness, irritability, and many more, right? Now let us see each and every character in detail. We'll start with the first character, that is growth, which I already wrote on the board. What are the twin characters of growth? What are the twin characters of growth? Means increase in mass is also growth. Increase in number is also growth. 1 pen became 3 pens. This is also growth. Increase in mass, like a 50 kgs person became 60 kgs. That is growth. Right? So increase in mass and increase in number are the twin characteristics of the growth, came in NEET examination. What are the twin characteristics of the growth? One option, increase in mass. Second option, increase in the number of cells. Third option, both. The answer will be both, right? Now, unicellular organisms, bacteria, then next protozoans are unicellular. In unicellular organisms, like they grow by division, cell division, binary fission, right? So in unicellular organisms, they grow by division, and the same division is reproduction also. The same division is reproduction also. Means if a unicellular organism is dividing, so we are not very much clear whether it is growing or it is doing its reproduction, right? So that's why we tell in unicellular organisms growth and reproduction are the same. In unicellular organisms growth and reproduction are the same, means they're inclusive. Whereas in multicellular organisms, after we are born, till 16 years, till 18 years, till we reach that age of adolescence, we keep growing. After that, our growth will stop. Then we'll reach that ability to reproduce, to produce hormones, to produce gametes, right? So that is called reproductive age. So means for us, till particular age, growth will happen. After that, reproductive maturity will come. So then in multicellular organisms, growth is separate, reproduction is separate. But in unicellular organisms, both are the same, right? So in unicellular organisms, growth and reproduction are by division only. Whereas in multicellular organisms, growth is by division. Which type of division? Mitotic division. Reproduction is by meiotic division. Now coming to plants. In plants, at the tip, let it be a shoot tip or the root tip, they have a special type of actively dividing tissue which is called meristematic tissue. The meaning of meristem itself is division. So in plant, at the shoot tip and the root tip, they have meristematic cells. These meristematic cells, I told the name of the meristem itself is active division. So they know only one thing, to divide and keep on increasing. This much shoot will grow and it will become this much. Okay, and after some time it will become this much. Means from birth to death, the plant keeps on growing because of the presence of this meristematic tissue. Such a growth which happens throughout the life is called definite growth. What is such a type of growth called? It is continuous throughout the life, right? So it is called as, it's called as indefinite growth. Indefinite growth, right? So throughout the life it is happening. It's continuous growth, it is indefinite growth. Whereas animals, now my height is constant from so many years, means till particular age we grow. After that our growth stops, means our growth ceases after a particular age. Let it be 16 years or 18 years. So that means our growth is not continuous, means it is not indefinite, means it is definite. In animals, growth ceases after a certain age. That means that growth is called as definite growth. Whereas in plants, because of the presence of meristematic tissue, growth is continuous, and that growth is called indefinite growth, right? And increase in mass. Now, increase in number and increase in mass are the twin characteristics of the growth. Now, if we take mountains, boulders and sand dunes and all those things, now day by day, month by month, what they happen is they keep on accumulating all the dust and depositions and all. So then their weight keeps on increasing. Their weight keeps on increasing, means their mass is increasing. Mountain, come on, tell me, is it a living thing or non-living thing? Sand dune, sand hill, is it a living thing or non-living thing? Non-living thing. But it is increasing its weight. It's increasing its weight. So that means non-living organisms also are exhibiting one of the character of growth, that is increase in mass. So that's why we cannot tell that growth is a defining character, because non-living organisms also are exhibiting the character of growth, that is increasing in mass. So hence we can tell growth is not a defining character, because non-living organisms, they deposit dirt on its surface. Such a type of growth is called external growth. But in living organisms, it's not by depositing something on a surface. It is growth from inside. Growth from in living organisms, growth of mass, increase in mass is from inside. Means we exhibit internal growth. Whereas non-living organisms exhibit growth by depositing on the outer surface, which is called external growth. So we have discussed all the characteristics of the growth, and then we are concluding that growth cannot be a defining character, because non-living organisms are also exhibiting growth. Take a screenshot. Then we'll talk about the second character. What is the second character? Reproduction we'll talk about. Take a screenshot fast. Right. Now we finished the first character. We concluded that it is a distinct character, but it is not a defining character. It is not a defining character. Now let's go to the second character. What is the second character? Reproduction. Time is approaching. So in other few days, in other few weeks, we can tell, like NEET examination date will be announced. Okay. So first character, growth, we finished. We finished growth, and then we told growth is not a distinct character, defining character. Growth is not a defining character. Now coming to the second character, I'm telling it is reproduction. Reproduction. Now, organisms, living organisms, they reproduce by how many types? There is asexual method of reproduction also, there is sexual method of reproduction also. Then what is asexual reproduction? In asexual reproduction only one parent is required, whereas in sexual reproduction two parents are required. In asexual reproduction, from one parent one child will come, one offspring will come. So this offspring will completely resemble the mother in all the respects, in genetic respect, in physical respect, in all. So that's why we call asexually reproductive structures are called clones. But in sexual reproduction, two parents are there. From this two parents, by the fusion of the gametes, right, the young one will come, embryo will come. So they will not resemble completely the father or the mother. So then they show recombinations, we'll tell. So we can tell that organisms reproduce by two methods, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual mode of reproduction is exhibited by primitive organisms. Sexual mode of reproduction is exhibited by advanced multicellular plants and animals. Reproduction, we can tell, organisms exhibit how many types of reproduction? They exhibit two types of reproduction. Organisms exhibit two types of reproduction. What are the two types of reproduction? First one is called as asexual reproduction, and the second one is called as sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, one parent is required, one parent is involved. Whereas in sexual reproduction, two parents are involved. Two parents are involved. Since two parents are involved here, recombination will come. The offsprings, means the young ones, the offsprings show recombinations. They show new combinations, not the parental combinations. The offsprings exhibit recombinations. Whereas here, from one parent only the offspring is coming. So the offsprings They resemble the parent 100%. The offspring will resemble the parent. Since the offspring is resembling the parent, we call them as clones. Sexually reproductive offsprings are called as clones, whereas sexually reproducing organisms where from two parents they are coming, they show recombinations, right? Now when we talk about the methods of reproduction, fungi is the third kingdom under Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification. Fungi spreads to millions of kilometers by different types of asexual spores. In NCERT they have given the point number 1 that fungi reproduces by asexual spores. Fungi, they form asexual spores. If you ask me, madam, can you give me the names of asexual spores? Applanospores are examples of asexual spores. Zoospores are examples of asexual spores. The examples of asexual spores are, one is zoospore, second one is applanospore. It is there in second chapter, biological classification. So fungi, they reproduce by various types of asexual spores. Now if we talk about yeast and hydra, right? So yeast and hydra, how do they reproduce? Yeast and hydra. Now if you see yeast, this is yeast. Now this parent will make a bud. And this bud, this is a parent DNA and this is a daughter DNA. This is the content of the parent, this is the content of the daughter. So it is developing a bud. So hydra also the similar way. If you take this as hydra, so these are the tentacles of the hydra. Right? So this is hypostome. These are the tentacles of the hydra and it produces a tiny daughter bud. It is making a tiny daughter bud. So yeast and hydra, how are they reproducing? Yeast and hydra, they reproduce by budding. And coming to the third example, in NCERT they talked about planaria. What is planaria? It's flatworm. It belongs to Platyhelminthes. The third example is planaria. Planaria means it is flatworm belonging to Platyhelminthes. Now if you have to see the picture of planaria, this is a picture of planaria, right? This is a picture of planaria. Now in planaria, when we cut the body into three parts, so I'm making one split here, I'm making one split here. So that means this became one portion, head, then the middle piece is another portion and this is another portion. So in planaria, when we cut the body, it can regenerate the lost parts. So this head part will regenerate the remaining parts. It is regenerating this part. Now this middle part will regenerate the head and it will regenerate the tail. And the tail part will regenerate the body part and it will regenerate the head part. Now that means planaria is showing true regeneration, right? So yeast and hydra by budding, fungi by sexual spores, asexual spores. Planaria, they exhibit true regeneration. They exhibit true regeneration. So we are talking about the second characteristic to define what is growth. So we are telling reproduction. All living organisms, they exhibit two types of reproductions. One is asexual reproduction, second one is sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, only one parent is required. In sexual reproduction, two parents are required. Since from one parent the offspring will come, they resemble the parent. Whereas in sexual reproduction, since two parents, other recombinations will come. Now we are talking about different types of reproductions. First we went with fungi. We told fungi reproduces by many types of zoospores. If you have to see the zoospore is like this, right? And if I have to see applanospores means they are thick walled resting spores which are inside. These are endospores. So this is applanospore, this is zoospore. Coming to the next point, yeast and hydra, they reproduce by budding. This is the budding in yeast, this is budding in hydra. The third picture, we are telling that planaria, it shows true regeneration. Take a screenshot, we'll continue. Right. Now we'll take some more examples for reproduction. Now if we take filamentous algae, primitive plant is called algae which is completely in water. Then next one, if we talk about bryophyte, mosses, right? Protonema of mosses means the juvenile stage of moss. So second, we are telling like fungi, filamentous algae, and in moss, the juvenile stage called protonema of mosses, they reproduce by fragmentation. So first point, what did we talk about? First point, we talked about fungi, asexual spores. Then we talked about eastern hydra. Then we talked about planaria. Third point, we talked about planaria. Now fourth point, I'm writing down here. So we are talking about fungi, certain groups of fungi, then filamentous algae, fungi, and the juvenile stage of moss, bryophyte, we call it protonema. The protonema of mosses. How do they reproduce? They reproduce by fragmentation. Means if you break it into two parts, this becomes a new individual, this becomes a new individual. That's called fragmentation. They reproduce by which method? They reproduce by fragmentation. Now if you take the fungal body like this, and if you are splitting the fungal body into two parts, now this establishes as a new one and this establishes as a new one. This process is called as fragmentation. Now this is about types of reproduction. Now we need to think whether reproduction is a defining characteristic or it's not a defining characteristic. Now when we talk about mules, how is mule made? It is made by crossing donkey and horse. Mule is formed by crossing donkey and horse, right? So mule actually, it is sterile. It is sterile. Means it is a living creature, it's a living organism, living animal, but it cannot produce the next generation. In the same manner, when we talk about worker bees, when we talk about honeybee, we call them as worker bees. They are females only, female worker bees, but they are also sterile. Means they also cannot generate eggs. So then certain couple, they are sterile, they cannot produce their children. So when we talk about all these things, infertile human couple, third example, infertile human couple. Now infertile human couple, they means infertility means sterility only. Now all these are the examples where they are living, worker bee is also living, mule is also living, but they are not able to reproduce. So then we should tell it's a defining character or not a defining character. So we should tell it is not a defining character. Because of these three reasons, we are telling reproduction also, like growth. Reproduction is also not a defining characteristic. Reproduction is also not a defining characteristic. Growth is also not a defining characteristic. Reproduction is also not a defining characteristics. So any doubts about growth and reproduction? Now let's switch on to the third one. What is that? We wrote on the board. It is metabolism. So now the third characteristic living organisms exhibit, it's called metabolism. Sorry. Now what is metabolism? All living organisms are made up of chemicals. All living organisms are made up of chemicals. Some chemicals might be small, some chemicals might be big. Some chemicals belongs to carbohydrates, others belong to protein, fats, nucleic acids. That means they belong to different classes, they are of different sizes, they have different functions, some are small, some are big. They are constantly being made to build the body, they're constantly being broken to give the energy. So we can tell all living organisms are made up of chemicals. So the first point is all living organisms are made up of what? Chemicals. Are made up of chemicals. And these chemicals are, some are small, some are big. Some, they belong to different classes like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, nucleic acids. They have different sizes, they have different functions. These chemicals are small or big. They're small or big, and they are of different classes. They can be of different classes. What do you mean by different classes? So they can be carbohydrates, they can be proteins, they can be fats, they can be nucleic acids, and they can be of different functions, and they can be of different sizes. Right? They can be of different sizes, and these chemicals are constantly being made and they're constantly being broken down. These chemicals are constantly being made. So a making process, when we are synthesizing anything, it's called anabolism. So when we are synthesizing anything, the name we have to use is called anabolism. So anabolism will help in growth, and whenever energy is required, that chemical will break to give ATP. So, and these chemicals are constantly being broken down also. When are they broken down? What is that process called? Catabolism. So when will catabolism happens? When you break, what do you get? Currency. What is the currency of the cell? ATP, energy. With that energy, the cell will do its functions. So these chemicals, they keep on changing from one form to other form, simple form to complex form to simple form. These conversions of chemical reactions are called metabolic reactions. So these conversions are nothing but metabolic reactions. These conversions, what are called? They are called chemical reactions. They are called chemical reactions, or we can call them as metabolic reactions. They're called metabolic reactions. Then what is metabolism? Metabolism is the sum total of catabolism and anabolism. What is metabolism? Metabolism is a process of breaking also. Metabolism includes making also. So we can tell that metabolism is sum total of catabolism and anabolism. It's sum total of catabolism and anabolism. Together, catabolism and anabolism together is called as metabolism. Now, only living organisms exhibit metabolism. This we can tell. I told only living organisms exhibit metabolism means metabolism will be a defining feature, right? So let me write down only living organisms exhibit. Only living organisms exhibit metabolism. Right? That means we can tell that metabolism is a defining feature. So we told growth is not a defining feature, reproduction is also not a defining feature, whereas metabolism is a defining feature. Because no non-living object is exhibiting metabolism. Only living organisms will exhibit metabolism. So you can demonstrate metabolic reactions outside. In vitro, you can demonstrate metabolic reactions in cell-free systems, but we are demonstrating outside in a test tube. So that demonstration is not a living thing. Test tube is not a living thing, but you are doing that reaction in a test tube, and all the chemicals, enzymes you have taken from living organisms only, and you are doing it here. So that means we can tell the reaction which is happening in this non-living test tube is a living reaction. So you can do cell-free system outside, you can do in vitro, you can do, but then those reactions are also living reactions. So without any exception, metabolism is the defining characteristic. So we finished growth, reproduction, metabolism. The fourth characteristic is cellular organization. Take a screenshot. We will continue. Now, what do you mean by cellular organization? Getting organized in a manner, right? So we told cell, if it is there, protoplasm inside the cell, if it is there, then it is living only. It is living only, right? Now when we talk about cellular organization, so first character, children, growth, which is not a defining feature, which is not a defining character. Second one is reproduction. There are so many sterile organisms, so that's why this is also not a defining character. The third one, we came to metabolism, and we told metabolism is a defining character. The third one is metabolism, and I'm telling metabolism is a defining character. There's no exception. Metabolism is a defining character. Now we are coming to the fourth one. We're taking cellular organization. Cellular organization, and I'll tell you, I'll explain you. Cellular organization is also a defining feature. Organization is also defining characteristic, right? So what do you mean by cellular organization? Now a cell, if it is there, a cell, if it is there, a group of cells will combine to make a tissue. Cell is combining to make a tissue, and then we can tell tissues will combine to make organ. Organ will combine to make organ system. Many organ systems are there in an organism, and organism is a living thing, is a living creature, right? So this is called organization. Group of cells are organized to make a tissue which perform common function. Group of tissues, they are organized to make an organ, like heart is an organ, right? Now heart with its arteries, capillaries and all will make a circulatory system. That is system, organ system. Circulatory system, digestive system, respiratory system, then excretory system, breathing system. All these things are present in a living organism. That makes organism. So that means non-living organisms, if you see, they don't have such type of organization. So we can tell that cellular organization is a defining feature. I wrote it there. Cellular organization is a defining feature. Now let's talk about the next characteristic, which is called as consciousness. What is the next characteristic? The next characteristic is called consciousness. Now, what do you mean by consciousness? So we can tell that like all living organisms, they have an ability to sense the surrounding, right? All living organisms have an ability to sense the surrounding, to sense the environment. So we can sense the environment and we can respond to that environmental stimuli also, right? So cellular organization is our fourth point, and fifth point we are talking about consciousness. Next point we are talking about consciousness. Now we are trying to explain what is consciousness. There we are telling like living organisms have an ability to sense the surrounding, to sense the environment. Now I'm in a lightened room, so I'm sensing it is light, it is not dark. So we can tell all living organisms, they have an ability to sense the environment or the surrounding, to sense the environment, and they can respond to the stimuli also. They sense it and they respond to the stimuli also, right? They respond to the stimuli. Sometimes the stimuli can be a physical stimuli. Now I'm touching the board, this is a physical stimuli. It can be a chemical stimuli also, or it can be a biological stimuli also. It can be a biological stimuli also. Physiological stimuli, okay, behavioral stimuli comes under biological stimuli. Now movement towards a chemical is called as chemical stimuli. Now physical thing like temperature, light and all comes under physical stimuli. So they sense the environment, they respond to the environment. The stimuli can be physical, chemical or biological. Now this property of sensing the stimuli and reacting is called as consciousness. Now this we talk about animals. Are you thinking that plants don't have consciousness? No, plant also will have consciousness. Now they respond to light, they require certain amount of light duration to flower. Animals also, like some are nocturnal, they come out only in the night time. Some are diurnal, which come out only in the daytime. So that means animals are also sensing the light, plants are also sensing the light. So we can tell plant also responds to light, it responds to water. So when you water it, it will nicely open and it will be active. It responds to temperature also, and it responds to organisms also. It responds to organisms also. Touch me not plant, you go and touch it, it will respond to you. And it responds to pollutants also. Not only animals, plants also exhibit stimuli. So we can tell that plants also show responses. To what responses it show? They show responses towards light, right? They show responses towards water. They show responses towards temperature. They show responses towards other organisms. They show responses towards other organisms. They even show responses towards pollutants also. Their growth will get retarded in the presence of pollutant, right? So then I told you there is a period which is called photoperiod. Photoperiod affects the reproduction in seasonal breeders. Photoperiod also affects the flowering in plants. So in animals, photoperiod means how much amount of light duration which is required. So photoperiod will affect reproduction in seasonal breeders. Will affect reproduction in which breeders? In seasonal breeders. Now frogs and all, they breed only in the rainy season, like that. Photoperiod will affect flowering in plants. Flower is a reproductive organ. photoperiod will affect flowering in plants. Photoperiod will affect reproduction process in seasonal breeders. Now, an organism can handle the chemicals entering into the body, right? So we can handle the stimulus, we can handle the things which are entering into the body. That means we can tell organisms are aware of the surroundings. We can tell organisms we are aware, right? So I am teaching you are aware that madam is teaching biology first chapter. So organisms are aware of their surroundings. Now this awareness is only called as consciousness. This awareness is only called as consciousness. So we can tell this awareness is nothing but consciousness. But again, if you come to humans, humans are the only organisms who are self-conscious. We know about ourselves, whether we are active, whether we are drowsy, or whether we are having any pain, or we are healthy. So only humans are self-conscious. All other organisms are conscious. What do you mean conscious? They are aware of the surroundings. But humans, we tell them we are self-conscious. We know what is happening for ourselves, right? So I'm telling like this is a pen. Now if I break the pen, will it cry? Is it having any consciousness what I'm doing with the pen? No. So that means only living organisms, they exhibit consciousness, and humans exhibit self-consciousness. So we can tell consciousness is also defining character then. So growth, not a character. Reproduction, not a defining character. Metabolism, yes. Cellular organization, yes. Consciousness is also defining character. Is also defining characteristic exhibited by living organisms. Now when we have to talk about human beings now who are in coma, where the brain is dead, where organs are not functioning, literally they are on ventilators, where the machines are supporting their life, what do we tell? We don't know whether they'll come back or not. We see that they are not exhibiting any metabolism. Machines are doing that. They don't show any consciousness also. So then they are telling in humans to particularly tell like this person who is in coma is living or dead. It's very difficult. Means we should tell them as living only, even though these characteristics are not there, but at one point of time they might come back and lead a life. So we have to consider them living only. So that's why they're saying it's complex. The system is complicated. Even after studying these many characteristics also, we are not able to give a conclusion like in this particular condition where the people are brain dead and supported virtually by many machines. We cannot tell 100% they are living. We cannot tell 100% they are dead, right? So this is about different characteristics. These are different characteristics about living organisms. Then take a screenshot. We'll continue. So all living processes which are happening are due to some or the other interactions. That's what I wrote on the board. All living phenomenon are due to some or the other interactions. For example, if you take a tissue like a muscular tissue, nervous tissue, or a vascular tissue, like that in plants it is vascular tissue. If you take a tissue is made up of group of cells. A tissue will have a function. What's the function of vascular tissue? Conduction of food, conduction of water, conduction of minerals. Now the function what the tissue is doing is not there in the constituent cells. When the cells have interacted with each other, when they made a tissue, then that tissue got that function. That's what the sentence says. The properties of a tissue are not present in its cells. The tissue, vascular tissue, which is doing conduction is not present in the xylem or phloem. Individual cells, they are not present. It's because of the interactions it gets the property, but arise as a result of interactions among the constituent cells. In the same manner, if you take a cell organelle, mitochondria, chloroplast, nucleus, ribosome. Now organelles are made up of many chemical constituents. Organelle, ribosome will do protein synthesis, mitochondria will participate in respiration. Then if you take nucleus helps in replication, transcription, translation. Now these organelles are made up of molecular constituents. These molecular constituents will not have those roles of protein synthesis or respiration and all. So these molecular constituents, when they have interacted, when they make mitochondria mitochondria, when they make ribosomes, when they make nucleus, then it will get the property. So similarly, the properties of cell organelles, a cell organelle will have a property, are not present in its molecular constituents. Like nucleus is made up of nucleic acid, ribosomes are made up of RNA. So those molecular constituents will not have the function what the organelle is having. Now all these molecular constituents will interact among themselves and then they get the function for the cell organelle. Understood? This is the meaning of tissue and cell organelles. So these interactions, the interactions are not there in the cells, they came up in the tissues. Interactions will not be there in the tissue, they'll come up in the organs. They'll not be there in the organs, they'll come up in organ system. Means it is helping in evolution, right? It's helping the organism to go to higher levels of organization. So these interactions will result in properties in higher levels of organization. So those interactions are helping the organism to evolve further. So thus we can conclude that living organisms are self-organizing, they are replicating, and they are self-regulating. They can regulate themselves with the changing environmental conditions. So we can conclude that living organisms are self-replicating. So we give birth to the next generation. They are evolving. We are going to the higher levels of evolution. Self-regulating. They can regulate themselves. They can interact with the environmental stimuli also. Now all this is biology. What is biology? Biology is the story of life on earth. On earth, how living organisms are existing. If we study that, that is biology. So the organisms which have evolved on the earth are as it is, or they are evolving to higher levels. They are evolving, they are progressing. So that is also biology. So biology is a story of life on earth and biology is a story of evolution of living organisms on earth, right? Then all living organisms of present, now, past, earlier, and in future some changes might happen and new organisms might evolve, are linked to one another. So we come from ancestors, we give birth to next generations, all of us are linked to one another. So it is inheritance, right? So through genetic material we are linked to one another by sharing a common genetic material, but this genetic material to a varying degree. Some organisms have very much similarity among themselves, some organisms will have less similarity, means there are variations among organisms. Understood, children? Take a screenshot. We will continue. Right. So the next topic is diversity of living organisms. What is diversity, did you think? Diversity means having various types of organisms, right? Now, in the earth, it's not a small thing. It is a big system, right? Now, in the earth, how many types of organisms are there? Did the scientists count them? Did they count them? Did they record them? Did they name them? Did they identify the similarities and dissimilarities? All that we are going to see now. So our next topic is diversity in living world. Diversity in living world. Now, if you see a small area, in that you will find limited number of organisms. If you stretch your area, you will find even more organisms. If you see earth as such as an ecosystem, you find many varieties of organisms. So means, so as you are increasing your area, the number and different kinds of organisms you are able to see. And each plant we are seeing, each animal we are seeing, each microorganism or any organism which you are seeing is represented as a species. So different kinds of plants, animals and organisms what we see, they are called as species in biology. Let us write down. Different kinds of plants. We can see plants in nature. We can see animals in nature and organisms also, microorganisms and all, fungi and all. So different kinds of plants, animals and organisms we see are represented as species. What do we call them as? They are represented as species. They are called as species. Now, you know how many species are so far recorded? 1.7 to 1.8, not hundreds, not thousands, millions. So far, 1.7 to 1.8 million species are discovered so far, out of which, do you know, plants are more, animals are more, animals are more. 1.25 millions are animals and 0.5 millions are plants. So, we can tell that so far, there are, right, how many? 1.7 to 1.8 million species discovered. We have discovered them and we have recorded them. Out of this 1.7 to 1.8 million, we are telling that 1.25 millions goes with animals only and 0.5 million will go with the plants. Means animal diversity is more than the plants, because animals are 1.25 millions and plants are only 0.5 millions. And this much we counted. There are so many which we still did not count, right? So then, if there are these many organisms, then how will you identify them? So this is a black marker, this is a red marker. So that means we have given a name to it so that we can easily identify. So how do you name it? If you go with the local names, these many species are there. Now a local name means it will be there in their own mother tongue or in that language. So local names might lead to confusions, and if you see for an organism, different areas will give different names. The local names itself will become so many. Then the names itself will become more than the organisms. So local names lead to confusion. Local names leads to confusion. What do you mean by local names? For example, if you take onion, onion has a name, a separate name in Telugu. It has a separate name in Tamil. It has a different name in Kannada. It has a different name in Hindi. Right? So like that, each language have its own name for onion. So these names are called local names. Local names are also called vernacular names. So what's the other synonym for local name? They are also called vernacular names. Now, number of organisms are there. For one organism, if you're giving different names, so the number of names for one organism becomes more, and it leads to confusion also. May lead to confusion also. Right? So local names will lead to confusion. So then scientists have thought that we have to standardize the naming system. So naming an organism in a scientific manner is called nomenclature. Since local names are leading to confusion, scientists want to standardize the naming. So they want to standardize naming by following scientific rules and principles. By following scientific principles. Scientists want to name organisms by following scientific principles. Then they came out with different systems. One is called polynomial nomenclature, next is called trinomial nomenclature, next is called binomial nomenclature. To replace this vernacular names or local names, so the scientists have implemented a system which is called nomenclature. Naming an organism is called nomenclature. So applying scientific principles, so they told we can go with polynomial nomenclature. Another one I told, it is trinomial nomenclature. Third one I told, it is binomial nomenclature. As the name says, like binomial nomenclature means each name has two words. Binomial nomenclature, each organism is named by two words. In trinomial nomenclature, each organism is named by three words. In polynomial nomenclature, each organism is named by many words. Now again, it will be difficult for one organism if you're giving such a long lengthy name. It is difficult for a person, scientist also, and for a student also to remember. So then they told polynomial nomenclature is difficult to remember. Then coming to trinomial nomenclature, so each organism has three words, right? So three words, in that three words, what way we go with? Three Latin words we take. Why are we taking Latin? Means Latin is a dead language, so it's not modified in pronunciation, in vocabulary. So that's why they have taken dead language, Latin language, for naming the organisms. Trinomial nomenclature has three words. Binomial nomenclature became popular because it is very small and easy to remember. Binomial nomenclature was introduced by a scientist called Carolus Linnaeus. Binomial nomenclature is introduced by a scientist called Carolus Linnaeus introduced binomial nomenclature. He told each organism will have two words, first word and the second word. The first word is called as generic name, it is the genus name, and the second word is called as species name, it's called species epithet. Okay, so two names will be there, which is called as binomial nomenclature. One interesting thing here is actually his name is also not Carolus Linnaeus. His name is Carl von Linn. His name is Carl von Linn. So he also changed his name to binomial nomenclature, and he kept two words only in his name also. Carolus Linnaeus he made it. So he's telling like all the plants and animals should have two words. The first name is the genus name, the second name is the species name. Take a screenshot. We'll talk about binomial nomenclature. Now, if we talk about binomial nomenclature, which was introduced by Carolus Linnaeus, he told what are the rules of binomial nomenclature. If you see, if we have to go with the rules of binomial nomenclature, now, each organism has two words, right? Biological names are having two words in the binomial nomenclature. Biological names, how many words are there? They have two words. In that, what does the first word denote and what does the second word denotes? The first word denotes the genus name, whereas the second word denotes the species name, or we can also call it as species epithet. So the first word is a genus name and the second word is a species epithet, and all these words are derived from Latin language, and when we are typing it, so we'll use italics. So they are having two names. The first word denotes the genus name, the second word denotes the species name, and these words are derived from which language? From which language are we taking? They are derived from Latin. They are derived from Latin language. So this is the first rule of binomial nomenclature. In that, the first word, the genus word, should be written with a capital letter and the species word should be written with a small letter. So genus name should start with a capital letter. It should start with capital letter, while the species name, the second word, should start with small alphabet. The genus name denotes, genus is the noun form of the name and the species name is the adjective form. Adjective means we give description about the organism, plant or animal. So genus is noun form. Since it is in noun form, we are using capital letter, and species is adjective, means we are explaining the description about that, and when we are typing it, we have to type it in italics to indicate its Latin origin, and when we are writing with hand, then we need to underline, one underline below the genus name, one underline below the species name. So when they are typed, when we are typing, so we have to type it in italics to denote. Why are we typing in italics? To denote its Latin origin. And when we are handwriting, handwritten names, they should be underlined. They should be underlined. So one underline below the genus name, another underline below the species name. For example, if you take mango, what is the scientific name of mango or the biological name of mango? It is Mangifera indica is the biological name of mango. Mangifera word is the genus name. So, and I've started with a capital letter. Indica is a species name. Okay. So, I started with a small letter. Since I'm writing with the hand, one underline below the Mangifera, another underline below indica, it should be there. If we are typing it, so in order to indicate its Latin origin, we have to go with italics, right? Now here M, Mangi, M with capital letter and I with small letter. Mangifera is a name, it's the name of it, and indica, it's an adjective form, it's Indian origin. Mango is the fruit of India, right? So that's why it's called Mangifera indica. Understood, children, till here? And the genus name is a capital form and the species name is a adjective form. Now if we want to tell the author name who has given the name for it, author name can be written after this. For example, if Linnaeus has given the name of mango as Mangifera indica, author name we will write it in abbreviation as Lin. Author name will be written in abbreviation. So author name is written after the species name. After the species name, but not the full name. In abbreviation we will write the author name. Understood? So these are the rules of binomial nomenclature. Take a screenshot, then we'll talk about the organizations who can name plants, who can name animals, who can name viruses. Take a screenshot. Yes. Now plant names are standardized by an organization which is called as ICBN. Animal names are standardized by an organization which is called ICZN. Bacterial names ICNB. Viral names ICTV. We'll see the abbreviations of it. Okay. So plant names are standardized by which organization? Plant names are standardized by ICBN. What does ICBN stands for? International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. ICBN stands for International Code for Botanical and for nomenclature. Naming the organisms is called nomenclature. Now, animal names are standardized by ICZN. Animal names are standardized by, who standardized animal names? They are standardized by ICZN. What does ICZN stands for? International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. It stands for International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. And who will name bacteria? So bacteria is named by one more organization. Bacterial names are standardized by ICNB. Bacterial names are standardized by ICNB. What does ICNB stands for? ICNB stands for International Code for Nomenclature of Bacteria. ICNB stands for International Code for Nomenclature of Bacteria. You cannot tell International Code of Bacterial Nomenclature. So we are confused whether it's bacterial nomenclature or botanical nomenclature. So for botanical BN and for bacteria NB. International Code for Nomenclature of Bacteria is ICNB. And if we have to name viruses, let us see. Viral names are standardized by, viruses names are, they are standardized by ICTV. ICTV stands for International Code for Taxonomy of Viruses. ICTV stands for International Code for Taxonomy of viruses. So these are the organizations which will standardize the names of plants, animals, bacteria and viruses. Take a screenshot. We will see some names related to biological nomenclature. Mango we have already seen, right? Mango scientific name is Mangifera indica. Rose scientific name is Rosa indica. China rose scientific name is Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Rice scientific name is Oryza sativa. So like that, if you see, like each organism has two names. For mango, once again we'll see, it is Mangifera indica. Since we are writing with hand, we have to underline one name under the genus, one name under the species, one underline under the genus, one underline under the species. Now here there are some words called tautonymy, synonymy, autonomy, homonymy. Let us see that. What do you mean by tautonym? What do you mean by tautonymy? If the name of an animal has the same word for genus also, has the same word for species also. Same word for genus and species is called tautonymy. Same word for genus and species is called tautonymy. For example, if you take cobra, you know the scientific name of cobra. It is Nasa, Nasa. Genus is also Nasa, species is also Nasa. So Nasa is the name of cobra, but tautonymy is applicable for zoology, but for botany we don't accept tautonymy. Then next one is synonymy. Now, what is meant by synonymy? In synonymy, for example, I have proposed a name for a plant and you have proposed a name for a plant. Now, who comes first and gives the name, records the name, that will become the actual name, and all other names which are added by different scientists will be the synonyms of it. This is called rule of priority in synonymy. So what do we do? Rule of priority is applied. Means the scientist who first comes and records the name will be the actual name and the other names will be called as synonyms of it. The next one is autonomy. What do you mean by autonomy? Now, same word goes with the species and the subspecies. Genus, species and subspecies. If the same word goes with the species and subspecies, we call it as autonomy. Same word for species and subspecies. Then what is it called? Autonomy. If you want example, our name is Homo sapiens sapiens. So Homo is the genus name, Sapiens is the species name. Again sapiens came. This is species, this is subspecies. Both are having the same name, so means it is autonomy. For crow also, if you take, it is Corvus splendens splendens. For this is man, scientific name. If we take crow, it is Corvus splendens splendens. So the species name and the subspecies name is the same for crow, means it comes under autonomy. Then let us see what is meant by homonymy. HOMO. What is meant by homonymy? If two organisms are having same name, if they are having same name, then that is called homonymy. For example, if you take Pyrus malus, Prunus dulce. Prunus dulce is a name for almond also, it is a name for plum also. Let's go. Prunus dulce. This is the name for almond also. This is the name for plum also. For almond and plum, we are giving the same name called Prunus dulce. So then it is called as homonymy. Homonymy means two different organisms are having the same name. And autonomy means species and subspecies with the same word. Synonymy means the one scientist who recorded first, rule of priority, his name will be the main name and all other names are synonyms. Tautonymy means if the genus name and the species name are the same, then we call it as tautonymy, right? Take a screenshot, we will continue. 1.7 to 1.8 million species are discovered so far, right? In that, in our lifespan of 70 years or 100 years maximum, is it possible for us to study all the 1.7 or 1.8 million species? It is not possible. So then there should be some means to study them, which is called as classification. So in NCERT, the author told, since it is nearly impossible to study all the organisms, there should be a means to make it possible. Since we cannot study all the organisms, there should be a means to study the organisms, which is called as classification. Now, what is classification means? It is a process by which organisms are grouped. Organisms are grouped into a category. For example, all those organisms which are having jointed legs are kept under a category phylum called Arthropoda. All the organisms which are having annules on the body are kept under a phylum called Annelida. So, means if you study one Annelida, almost all other organisms which are in that phylum will have the similar characteristics. If you study one insect which is having jointed legs, all other ones which are in that phylum will have the similar characteristics. So, you need not study each and one specifically. Common characters will be there for all the organisms. So, what is classification, children? It is the process by which organisms are grouped into particular categories. On what categories are you grouping them? Basing on the similar characters, right? So, what are the characters we expect in arthropods? Jointed legs, then segmentation in the body, then which type of circular system? Open circular system. All these things we expect, right? Where? In arthropoda. Now, dogs, mammals, wheat, rice, plants, animals are some categories. Dog is a category, cat is a category, plant is a category, animal is a category, mammal is a category. So, these are different categories they're telling. Now, so many of the students have a doubt like what is category and what is taxon. So, I have taken the differences between category and taxons here. Now, scientific term for the category is called taxon. Category, what is category? Category means categorizing them based on the similar characteristics, which we do it in classification or taxonomy. Now, the scientific term what we use for that particular category is called taxon. For example, if you see the difference between category and taxon, taxon represents the real organism. In taxon represents the real organism, cockroach, or if we tell dog, it represents the real organism. Whereas category, the scientific name what you are giving to these categories is called taxon. For example, see, Bryophyta is a scientific name, right? Bryophyta is a taxon. Now, if we have to tell what is Bryophyta means, Bryophyta will come under which taxonomic category? Bryophyta comes under division. In the same manner, Zea maize, if you take, maize is a taxon because it is a scientific word, it's a scientific name. Maize is a taxon and the category to which maize belongs, Zea maize. Zea is a genus name, maize is a species name. So, the category of which maize belongs is the species. I think you understood what is category and what is taxon. Taxon denotes the name, whereas to which category it belongs to, which taxonomic category it belongs to, if it is division, kingdom, class, order, then that is called as category. And in NCERT, they asked this, let us try to write down animals, mammals, dogs, all of them are different taxa at different level. For example, animal, to which taxa it belongs? What's the scientific name we give for animal? Animal means it's a kingdom, right? Animalia, it is kingdom. And mammals means it's a class, mammalia is a class. So, what am I writing? I am writing the taxons. The taxon of Animalia is kingdom and the category of Mammalia is class. The category of dog means it is species. It is species, right? So, we are writing kingdom, class and species are the categories. Kingdom, class and species are the categories for the taxons: animal, mammalia and dogs. Now hence, based on the characteristics, similar characteristics, observable characteristics we are doing. Basing on the similar characteristics, we will classify the organisms into different taxa or into different categories. This classification is called taxonomy. Categorizing the organisms basing on the similar characteristics into different groups. This is called as taxonomy. Carolus Linnaeus is father of taxonomy. Carolus Linnaeus introduced binomial nomenclature. Who coined the term taxonomy? The word taxonomy was coined by a scientist called A.P.D. Candle in the year 1813. The word taxonomy was coined by a scientist called A.P.D. Candle in 1813. And what is taxonomy? Taxus means arrangement according to the law. Systematic arrangement is called systematic. Arranging according to the law is called taxonomy. Now, the word taxonomy was coined by A.P.D. Candle. And what are the basis for modern taxonomy? If we have to do modern taxonomy, we have to look at the characters. What characters are we looking into? External structure. We are looking into internal structure. We are looking into structure of the cell. We are checking. After structural development of the cell, we will see. Not only that, evolutionary relationships also will make the basis of modern taxonomy. External structure, internal structure, structure of the cell, development of an organism and evolutionary relationships will make the basis of modern taxonomy. Now, what are the basis? What forms the basis of taxonomy? First, we look at this pen and we will tell this is red color marker and this is fat marker. Like that, we'll say some characteristics, right? If you look at an insect, cockroach, you'll tell it's having jointed legs, it has it has exoskeleton, then we will tell it has compound eyes, it has antenna, all those structures, right? So these are called characteristics. First, anything if you are seeing, we'll read the characters. Looking at the characters, we'll try to identify whether it's a plant, animal, microorganism. So characterization, identification. After identifying it, we'll try to classify it under plant kingdom or animal kingdom or fungal kingdom. We'll classify it and then we will name it, right? Which nomenclature? Binomial nomenclature proposed by Carolus Linnaeus is popularized. So characterization, identification, classification, nomenclature are the basis of taxonomy. Take a screenshot. We will continue with the taxonomic hierarchies. So I think we are clear what is the difference between category and taxa. Taxa means it is the scientific term and category means whether it belongs to which category. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, like that it is. Now let us see what you mean by taxonomic hierarchy. Taxonomy means arrangement, right? Arranging the organisms according to the law, basing on their observable characters, basing on their similar characters we are telling. Right? So we are telling classification involves hierarchy of steps, right? It involves hierarchy of steps in which each step represents a rank or a category. Classification. So we are telling identification, characterization, identification, classification and then nomenclature. Classification involves hierarchy of steps in which we are classifying the organisms into steps in which each step, right? Each step represents a rank or a category. Each step, it represents what? It represents a category, or you can also call it as a rank. We call each step as a category or a rank. What is category? Each category is a unit of classification. Unit of classification, we can also call it as taxon. Taxonomic arrangement is called as classification. So in that, each category represents, you can also call each category as taxon. What is category? What is taxon? It is the unit of classification. It is the unit of classification. How many, and who is father of taxonomy? Who is father of classification? Carolus Linnaeus is father of taxonomy. sorry. Carolus Linnaeus, who is considered as father of taxonomy, he has proposed 7 obligate categories. Carolus Linnaeus was father of taxonomy. He has proposed 7 obligate categories, 7 compulsory categories, 7 compulsory taxons or ranks. What are those 7? If we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So those 7 are, first one is kingdom, the highest one is kingdom. Next one, it can be phylum or division. Phylum word we use for animals, division word we use for plants. Third one is called as class. Next one is called as order. Next one, family, then genus and species. So if we count, there are 7. So 7 taxonomic categories have been introduced by Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus, who is father of taxonomy, he introduced 7 obligate categories. Okay, now this arrangement is called as taxonomic hierarchy. It's called as taxonomic hierarchy. Since Linnaeus has introduced it, we can also call it Linnaean hierarchy. Now if you see from the bottom, it's an ascending order. Species to genus, genus to family, family to order, order to class, class to phylum, phylum to kingdom. This represents the ascending order of arrangement of taxonomic categories. Ascending order of arrangement of taxonomic categories. These 7 are compulsory, but there are accessory categories also. For example, if we have to keep under kingdom, we can tell sub kingdom. So under kingdom, if we have to write, we can tell sub kingdom. Under phylum, we have to write, we can write subphylum. Under class, if we have to write subclass, suborder. So like that we can write. So these are not compulsory. Subkingdom, subphylum, subclass, these are not compulsory. They are called accessory categories. Okay. And there's one more accessory category which is called as tribe. There's one more accessory category. What is it called as? It is called as tribe. Where is tribe kept? Tribe is kept between. Where is tribe kept means tribe is between subfamily and the genus. Where is subfamily? Here we have, below family it is subfamily. After subfamily, genus is there. In between subfamily and genus, we can write one more thing which is called as tribe. Now, they asked once in NEET examination, the tribe, which is an intermediate category, which falls between genus and the subfamily. This is genus. In between genus and subfamily is the tribe, which represents an accessory category. It is not an obligate category. So, take a screenshot. We will continue. Right? So now let us see each taxonomic hierarchy. Let us see each category. We'll start from the least, that is species. Do you know who coined the term species? John Ray coined the term species. And who gave the definition of species, biological definition of species? Ernst Mayr has given the biological definition of species. So when we have to talk about taxonomic categories, the first one is there are 7 obligate categories we have already discussed. The first one is species. Who coined the term species means John Ray coined the term species. Who gave the definition or who gave the biological definition of species means Ernst Mayr. He gave the biological definition of species. And what is species? It is the least one, right? It is a basic unit of classification. It is a real unit of classification, right? What is species? Species is a real unit of classification. Or we can tell, since it is at the bottom, it is the basic unit of classification. Now, what do you mean by plant species or what do you mean by animal species? Means they are the members of a species. They are closely resembling each other. Why are they closely resembling each other? All these pens are closely resembling each other because in all of them will write black only because I filled black ink in them. So in the same manner, what do you mean by species? Means the members of a species, they closely resemble each other because they derive from a common ancestor and they can freely interbreed among themselves to produce fertile offsprings. If you have to give the definition, we can write members of a species closely resemble each other. Members of a species closely resemble each other. How are they resembling each other? Because they come from the same ancestor. Since they originate from same ancestor. Since they originate from same ancestor and the members of a species freely interbreed among themselves to produce fertile offsprings. We can also tell the members of species freely interbreed. They can breed among themselves, interbreed among themselves to produce fertile offsprings. To produce fertile offsprings. Now this is a definition of the species, biological definition of the species. They are similar to each other since they come from the same ancestor. They freely interbreed among themselves to produce fertile offsprings. Understood? Now it's a real unit, it's a basic unit, it's a fundamental unit, and the word species was coined by John Ray and the definition was given by Ernst Mayr, right? If we have to see the examples of the species, now under plants, if we have to see the examples, Solanum tuberosum. Solanum is the genus name, tuberosum is the species name. Then again, Solanum melongena. Okay, Solanum melongena, brinjal. Here tuberosum is the species name, melongena is the species name. One more example, Solanum nigrum is another name. Solanum nigrum. So these three are three different species of plants. If we have to take the examples of animals, we can tell Panthera tigris. Okay, Panthera leo, Panthera pardus, lion, tiger and leopard. So tigris is a species name, leo is a species name, pardus is a species name. Understood? So I gave you some examples. We have seen who coined the term, we have seen who gave the definition, what is species, it's a real unit, basic unit, fundamental unit, and here is a definition of the species and some names of plant species, some names of animal species. These three are the species names. These three are the species names of animals. Tigris means tiger, leo means lion, pardus means leopard. Take a screenshot, then we will go to the genus. Right? So we have seen the hierarchy, right? What is taxonomic hierarchy? Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species we are telling. So you can remember this with a short trick. What is that? Keep pots clean or family gets sick. The phrase is keep pots clean or family gets sick. K for kingdom, P for phylum, C for class, O for order, F for family, G for genus, S for species. Right? So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 obligate categories are there. So the first obligate category is species. Then above species is genus. Now let us see what is genus. What is genus? We can tell related species are grouped under one genera. Related species are grouped under one genera. Let us see an example also. Related species are grouped under one genera. Now, as I told you, we'll take three species for plants. One is tuberosum. What is tuberosum? Potato. Another species we will take melongena, brinjal. Another one we will take McCoy plant, nigrum. So three species are there. One species is tuberosum, another species is melongena, another species is nigrum. These three species which are having similar characteristics, they are kept under the common genera called Solanum. So these three species are kept under the common genus. What is the name of the genus? The name of the genus is Solanum. Is kept under the genus called Solanum. Now, two same genus will be kept under family, right? So, they will be kept under family. Now, let us take one more genera. The another genera is called Petunia. This is one genus which is called Solanum. There is one more genus which is called Petunia. Two similar genera will be kept under one family, like that Solanum and Petunia. If you want to take, we can take Datura also. One more genus we can tell. Solanum, Petunia and Datura are kept under common family. What is the name of the family? The family is called Solanaceae. They are kept in a family called Solanaceae, right? And two families which are having similar to each other, which are having similar characteristics, will be kept under one order. So I need to take one more family. In NCERT they have given Solanaceae and Convolvinaceae. Let me take one more family. Solanaceae and Convolvulaceae are kept under, families are kept under order. Now, these two, Solanaceae and Convolvulaceae, are kept under which order? Are kept under order called Polymoniales. Are kept under an order called Polymoniales. And similar orders will be kept under a class. Similar order will be kept under a class. So, I need to take one more order then. Another order is Rosales. Polymoniales is one order. Other order is Rosales. So Polymoniales one order, Rosales another order, will be kept under one class. Now let us see what is the name of the class. Now the class of this one is, it is dicotyledonate, right? Both are dicots. So the class is dicotyledonate, right? Now two classes will be belonging to one division. In plant it is division, in animals it is phylum. Now which division are they kept? So one class is dicotyledonate. One more class we have to take, it is monocotyledonate. Dicotyledonate and monocotyledonate. So two classes are kept under a division. The division is called angiospermae. The division is called angiospermae. Now two divisions are kept under one kingdom. So let us take the kingdom. Kingdom will be plant kingdom. Now plant kingdom contains many divisions. One division is angiospermae, another division is gymnospermae, right? Gymnospermae, angiospermae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, all those things. Bryophytes, pteridophytes, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms are kept under a kingdom called Plantae. See how beautifully we have seen a hierarchy in plant kingdom. So we started with species. There are three species. Solanum is one species, Melongena is another species, Nigrum is another species. These three species are having similarity among themselves. So that's why they are kept under a genera called Solanum. Similar genera are kept under family. Solanum is one genera, Petunia is another genera, Datura is another genera. Solanum, Petunia, Datura, three genera are brought under same family. The family is called Solanaceae. Now two similar families will be kept under order. Now Solanaceae is one family. Next one is Convolvinaceae is another family. These two are kept under an order called Polymoniales. Two orders will be kept under a class. Polymoniales is one order, Rosales is another order. Two orders are kept under a class. Dicotyledonnae, they are dicots. Now two classes will be kept under one division. So Dicotyledonnae is one class, Monocotyledonnae is one class. It's kept under a division called Angiospermae. Now Angiospermae, Gymnospermae, Bryophytes, Pteridophytes, divisions will kept under one kingdom, which is called plant kingdom, Plantae. So this is a hierarchy about plant kingdom. Take a screenshot, then we will talk about the hierarchy for animal kingdom also. Now if we have to see the similar flow chart for animal kingdom, let us see how do we go. What examples are we going to see? I am purely taking all the examples from NCERT only, so that we are not at all deviating. You can score 360 out of 360, there is no doubt in that. Now we need to take species. Animal species, let us go. Now one is called Panthera tigris, other one is called Panthera leo and Panthera pardus. Tigris means tiger, leo means lion, pardus means leopard. Three species, they have the similar characters, so then they will be kept under one genera. The genera is Panthera. Now Panthera is one genera and Felis is another genera. What is other genera? Felis. Now Felis catus we will tell, it is cat genera. Felis catus. Panthera is one genera, Felis is another genera. These two will be kept under one family called Felidae. Will kept under one family called Felidae. This is big cat family, this is small cat family, belonging to a family called Felidae. Now two families will be kept under an order. So let us take dog family, Canidae. So Felidae is cat family. Next one of the family is Canidae. Felidae and Canidae, two different families belonging to an order. What is the order here? The order is Carnivora, right? All of them are carnivores only, so the order is Carnivora. So Carnivora and one more order will be belonging to a class. So Carnivora is one order, Primata is other order. Carnivora and Primata will belong to a class. What is the class? Mammalia. Carnivora is one order. Let me take another order, Primata. Primata is man order, right? So Carnivora one order, Primata another order. They belong to a class. The class is Mammalia. Now many classes will combine to make, for plant it is phylum. Now Mammalia is one class. Let me write one more class, aves. Let me write one more class, reptiles. Reptiles, aves and mammals, all these are classes. They belong to one phylum. The phylum is Chordata. Now Chordata is one phylum, non-chordata is another phylum. Chordata and non-chordata will be belonging to kingdom, which is called animal kingdom. Chordata is one and next one is non-chordata. These two phylums are kept under one kingdom called Animalia. See how beautifully we have seen hierarchy for animal kingdom also. So I took three species. Tigris means tiger, leo means lion, pardus means leopard. Three species which are having similarities are kept under one genus, which is called Panthera. Panthera is big cat genus and small cat is called Felis catus. So Felis is one genus, Panthera is another genus. They will be kept under common family called Felidae. Felidae is cat family and lion family. Now dog family is called Canidae. Felidae and Canidae will be kept under an order, right? They will be kept under an order called Carnivora. Carnivora and Primata, two orders will be kept under a class. The class is Mammalia. Bring the other classes, Reptilia, aves, all these are classes. They will be kept under one phylum. The phylum is Chordata. Chordata is one phylum, non-chordata is another phylum. Phylums are kept under a kingdom. The kingdom is called as Animalia. The kingdom is called Animalia. So each point here can be a question in your NEET examination. Related to plants and related to animals, we have seen the hierarchies. Then take a screenshot. In NCERT, they have given us a table to remember examples of two animals and two plants. That also we will see. Then we will get into the next topic. in NCERT, they asked us to remember the taxonomic categories for man, housefly, wheat, mango. Let us see that also. 2 times in NCERT, 2 times in NEET examinations from this table 1.1, they ask questions, so don't ignore it. We have to go through that. Okay. Now let's go. Table 1.1. So we need to write all the 7 categories, right? So the name of the organism we will write. Genus. Sorry, we'll start from species. We'll write biological name. Species. Then genus. Then family. Order. Class. Then phylum or division. Then kingdom. Now in NCERT, first one they're asking us for man. Now man scientific name is Homo sapiens. So the species name is sapiens. Homo is the genus. Our family is Hominidae. Our family is Hominidae. Animal families will end with the suffix ide, I-D-A-E. Now, our order, just now we have seen, our order is Primata, right? So, order is Primata. Our class is Mammalia. Now, our phylum is Chordata. And kingdom is Animalia. So they can ask you, man belongs to which kingdom? Animalia. Man belongs to which phylum? Chordata. Man class? Mammalia. Man order? Primata. Man family? Hominidae. Man genus? Homo. Man species is sapiens. Like that we'll see for housefly also. The second one, let's go with housefly. Musca domestica. Housefly. So the species is domestica. Musca is the genus name. Now family Muscidae. Now order, the order of housefly is called as Diptera. Now the class Insecta, phylum Arthropoda, class like kingdom Animalia. Now housefly, or if it is cockroach, we can tell mosquito. They belong to kingdom Animalia. They come under a phylum called Arthropoda. They belong to a class called Insecta. Housefly belongs to an order called Diptera. It belongs to a family called Muscidae. Its name is Musca domestica. This also you need to remember. So let us write down cockroach, because in structural organization cockroach is also there. Let's go with cockroach. It's not there in NCERT. We are just writing it down. Cockroach scientific name is Periplaneta americana. Americana is the species name. Periplaneta is the genus name. Right? Cockroach family is Blattidae. Now, cockroach order, if you see, cockroach belongs to which order? It belongs to order called Dictyoptera. Tyoptera. Class is again the same, Insecta. Phylum is again the same, Arthropoda. And kingdom is again the same, Animalia. Cockroach, very important children. Its scientific name is Periplaneta americana. Periplaneta is the genus name, Americana is the species name. It belongs to family Blattidae. It belongs to order Dictyoptera. Its class is Insecta. Its phylum Arthropoda. And kingdom is Animaliae. So 3 animals we have seen. Let's go with Equus also. Equus means it's horse, right? Horse they asked in NEET 2017 examination. So that also I am going to add here. Let's go with horse. Equus cavalis. Cavalis is a species name then. Equus is a genus name. And horse belongs to which family? Equidae. It belongs to family Equidae. It belongs to which order? This only they asked in NEET 2017 examination. Horse order is Perisdactyla. This they asked in NEET 2017 examination. They asked Peristactyla is order or class or genus or family. They asked Peristactyla. And horse belongs to which class? Mammalia only. It belongs to phylum. Which phylum horse belongs to? It belongs to phylum Chordata only. And kingdom Animalia. So be careful. Horse, scientific name is Equus caballus. Equus is a genus name, caballus is a species name. It belongs to family Equidae. It belongs to order, which has been asked in NEET examination 2017. It is Peristactyla. Horse belongs to class Mammalia. It belongs to phylum Chordata. And kingdom is Animalia. Now let's go to plants. There we'll see mango first. We have seen so many times mango, scientific name Mangifera indica. Indica is a species name. Mangifera is a genus name. This also they asked twice in NEET examinations. Mangifera indica, spelling mistake they will give you. Capital letter, small letter they will shuffle you. Genus name should start with capital letter, species name should start with small letter. So they'll ask you to identify the correct option. Okay. Now Mangifera indica, mango belongs to a family called Anacardiaceae. Plant families will end with the suffix ACAE. Animal family will end with the suffix IDE. Okay. Now, mango's order, it is Saponidales. And mango's class, it is Dicotyledonnae. It is Dicotyledonnae. Mango's division, Angiospermae. And mango's family, Plantae. Now once again, mango scientific name is Mangifera indica. Mango family is Anacardiaceae. Mango order Saponidales. Mango class Dicotyledonnae. Mango division Angiospermae. And kingdom is Plantae. We'll go with wheat also. I'll change the pen. We'll go with wheat also. Triticum aestivum, right? Aestivum is a species name. Triticum is a genus name. It belongs to a family called Poaceae. CEAE suffix is there in plant family, and it belongs to order Poales. Means animal plant orders end with ales, Saponidales, Poales, and wheat is belonging to monocot. So the class will be Monocotyledonnae. And this is also Angiospermae division. And kingdom is again Plantae. So this table is very much important. So 1, 2, 3, 4 are mentioned in NCERT. Now cockroach is there in structural organization. So I added it here. And horse evolution they asked in NEET 2017. It comes in evolution chapter 2nd year, 7th chapter. That's why we took it here also. Take a screenshot. Then we will talk about taxonomic aids then. This table is very important. Get familiarized with this table, their names and the taxonomic hierarchies. Now, the next topic is taxonomic aids. Now, taxonomy means arranging the organisms, identifying the organisms, classifying the organisms. Now, if we have to identify the organisms, then certain things are required which will help us to identify. Now, those aids, the tools which are required for doing taxonomy are called as taxonomic aids. Now, what are taxonomic aids? Aids means tools or devices which help in taxonomy are called as taxonomic aids. The major taxonomic aids which help us in taxonomy. So the first one is herbarium. Herbarium will be there. Museums are there. Botanical gardens are there. Zoological parks are there. These 4 are the main. Keys are there. Catalog, monograph, all these things are also there. We'll go one by one. First we'll start with herbarium. What is herbarium? Herbarium is a place where plants are preserved. not in living state, in dried state. They are maintained on a herbarial sheet, right? So the dried, pressed, preserved plant specimens are kept on a herbarial sheet. What is the dimension of a herbarial sheet? 29 centimeters into 41 centimeters. 29 centimeters into 41 centimeters is the dimension of a herbarial sheet. If you want to maintain a herbarium, or if you want to prepare a herbarial sheet, so you need to go to the garden. So by taking certain instruments like scissors we need, forceps we need, and a wooden box in which you are bringing your specimen. So that wooden box is called vasculum. In that wooden box, you will go to the garden, you will collect a specimen. We need to collect the specimen in such a manner that it should be infection free, and root, stem, leaf, vegetative characters and reproductive characters, all you should collect and come. All should be there on one part. If seed and all are not there, so we will take it and we'll keep it in a bag and we will pin it. We'll keep it in a bag and we will pin it. So herbarial sheet dimension is how much? 29 centimeters into 41 centimeters. So we'll take a wooden box which is called vasculum, in which scissors, forceps, needles and all will take. So we'll bring a specimen to the lab, and first we need to dry it, right? So not living specimens, dead specimens are kept in herbarium. We'll dry it under the newspaper so that the moisture gets absorbed and it becomes dry. So we need to spray formalin so that fungal attack will not be there. Then when the specimen gets completely dried, then we will take that plant part and we will stick it on the herbarium sheet. The herbarium sheet at the bottom on the right hand side, it carries information. What information will be there? A label will be there. On your notebook, label will be there, which school you belong to, what is your name, which subject it is, like that. A label will be there. What is its local name, what is its scientific name, which family it belongs to, from which area you collected it, what is your name, on which day you collected it, on which altitude you collected. All the information will be there. So you will fill all the information, you will stick it, root, stem, leaf, flower, fruit, seed, everything. We will dry it and then we will pin it, and we will arrange them in the herbarium, in the herbarial racks, cupboards. We arrange them. How do you arrange them? Don't dump it, okay? So we have to arrange them in a system which is universally accepted system of classification, Bentham and Hooker system of classification. In that system of classification, we arrange the herbarial sheets, okay? Now this is about herbarium. So what are advantages of herbarium? It's a storehouse, right? It is a storehouse. It is a repository of plant specimens. So we can write it is a storehouse. It is a repository of plant specimens and dried specimens, right? So dried specimens are arranged according to the universally accepted system of classification, which is called Bentham and Hooker system of classification. And herbarium sheet, like your library, it serves as a quick referral tool for classification or taxonomy. Herbarium serves as a quick referral tool for taxonomy. It serves as a quick referral tool for taxonomy. This is about herbarium. First taxonomic 8 got over. Let's get into the second one, which is called as botanical gardens. Now here you told in herbarium dried means dead plants are preserved, whereas in botanical gardens live plants are maintained. Now, are you maintaining them in the place where they are? Means it comes under in situ conservation or ex situ conservation. Means in situ conservation, where they are, there itself we'll try to conserve them. Ex situ conservation means we'll remove it from its natural habitat and we'll try to conserve it under our conditions. So, botanical garden also, zoological park also, children, both of them, they come under ex situ conservation only. So, botanical garden comes under which type? It comes under ex situ conservation. Ex situ means it is not on site, it is off site conservation. It is off-site conservation. In botanical garden, I told live plants are being maintained. If you visit any botanical garden, so many trees will be there. On the tree, a label will be there, a board will be there. So they'll tell which plant name it is, it belongs to which family, little bit information will be there about that family. So if you visit a botanical garden, so we can come to know the morphological structures, which family it belongs to. So this is about botanical garden. Now if you have to list down some botanical gardens in NCERT, they told the famous botanical garden is in Kew, England. It's the largest botanical garden in the world. It's called Royal Botanical Garden. It's called Royal Botanical Garden. Where is it? Royal Botanical Garden is in Kew, England. In India, if we have to tell, we can tell it is Indian Botanical Garden, which is in Howrah, Calcutta. Right? In India, it is in Calcutta, Howrah. What is it called? Indian Botanical Garden. This is also there in NCERT. Then we can also give one more example. National Botanical Research Institute, which is in Lucknow. Children, this has also been asked in NEET examination. National Botanical Research Institute is an example of botanical garden. Where is it located? In Lucknow. This came in NEET examination. So this is about botanical gardens, right? So one taxonomic aid is herbarium, where dried plants are kept. The other taxonomic aid is botanical garden, where live plants are kept. The third one is zoological parks. Right? In zoological, I told again, zoological parks, they come under exotic conservation. Means we are conserving them not under their natural habitats, under our conditions we are bringing them. So that's called exotic conservation. Zoological parks, they come under exotic conservation. And what type of specimens are kept? Live or dead? Live. Plants are animals are animals. In zoological parks, live animals are maintained. Live animals are maintained. Okay, so which will also help us if we visit a zoological park. We'll come to know what are the characters a tiger will have, or a lion will have, or a monkey will have. So we can visit them and we can see what type of food it is eating. So it also will help you to do taxonomy. So another example is museum. Now in museums, dead animal species are preserved. Dead plants in herbarium, live plants in botanical gardens, live animals in zoological parks, in museum. So dead specimens are preserved. Dead specimens are preserved. Means not only plants, animals, even insects also are preserved here. Which type of plants are preserved in museum? Means those plants which cannot be preserved in the dried state in herbarium. Like if you take green algae, they require moisture content. If you dry them, they will vanish, they will disappear. So those plants, those dried plants which cannot be preserved in herbarium are maintained in museum. So dead specimens of plants, animals, then their skeletons, we can tell algae are preserved here, fungi are preserved here, insects are pinned and kept in insect boxes. Now if we have to store the bird, in all the internal parts are removed and we'll stuff the body and then we will keep it. Skeleton, dinosaur skeleton is preserved and kept it. So we can see the architecture, we can see the design of it. So skeletons are preserved, insects are preserved in insect boxes, birds are preserved by taking all the internal content and stuffing it, and algae and all is preserved in specimen bottles where preservative solution, formalin solution will be there. So that is about museum. So take a screenshot, we'll continue. Let's discuss about the remaining taxonomic aids also. So we have already discussed herbarium, which serves as a quick referral tool where dried, dead plant specimens are preserved. Botanical gardens comes under exotic conservation where live plant specimens are maintained. Zoological parks where live animals are maintained also comes under exotic conservation. Museums where dead plants, animals, insects, stuffing, skeletons, everything is maintained. Now coming to key. Now keys, they are analytical in nature. You can't see the key, you have to think upon. So that's why keys, they serve under analytical tools. Museum serves under quick referral tool. Museum is a repository, it's a storehouse, like that. Keys, they are analytical by nature. Now key is used for identification of plant also, animals also. How will you identify? Basing on the similarities they are having, basing on the dissimilarities they are having. For example, if you see these two are similar to each other, this is dissimilar to this. So like that, keys are used in identification of plants and animals based on similarities and dissimilarities. Now keys are based on contrasting characters. It is black or white, it's a contrasting character. Tall or dwarf, contrasting character. Green color pod or orange colored pod, contrasting character. Now we are checking each character, we are checking with contrasting traits, height and short. We are telling what is it, axial position, terminal position, like that. So those contrasting characters are called couplets. Contrasting characters are couplets. Now these couplets, in that one we will accept, black we will accept or white we will accept, tall we will accept or dwarf we will accept. We will accept one, we will reject the other one. Each statement of a couplet, black is a couplet, white is a couplet, tall is a couplet, dwarf is a couplet. Each statement in a couplet is called lead. Each statement, we have taken black, that's a lead for us to get into the next key. Now separate taxonomic categories are given for species. Species key we have, family key we have, genus key we have, class key we have. So keys are there for each taxons, for each categories, and I told you keys are analytical in nature. So children, these are the taxonomic aids: herbarium, botanical garden, zoological parks, museums and taxonomic keys. All these are the major taxonomic aids. After that, there are some descriptions also which are printed in books, like flora book will be there, manual book will be there, catalog another book is there, monograph another book is there. So here also descriptions will be printed and they'll be kept, which will also help us to do taxonomy. What is flora? Flora and fauna we use. Flora means for plant description, fauna means for animal description. Now in a particular hill called Tirumala hill, which type of plants are there? So if we write a book on all the plants which are available in that hill, it's called flora of that particular area. So flora gives a complete list and description of the plants in a given area. Next one is manual. Manual will help us to identify, like physics manual, chemistry lab manual will tell. Manual will help us to identify the names of a species in a given area. So already manual will be there in that given area, which plants are there we can identify. And third one is catalog. What is catalog? In catalog is also book, manual is also book. In catalog, the plant specimens in a given area are written or printed systematically or alphabetically. So like we have index for the book, so we'll check alphabetically, right? In the same manner, in catalog, it's something like manual only, but we will print the names, we'll give the description, we'll write the floral diagram and floral formula also, pictures also in an alphabetical manner or systematic manner. If the book is there, that's called catalog. Last one is monograph. Mono tells one. Monograph, it is an information. Again, it's a recorded information, description about a particular category. Monograph can be there on family, monograph can be there on species, monograph can be there on kingdom, it can be there on order, like that. Monograph contains information about only one taxon. It can be of kingdom, phylum, class, order, genus, species, like that. Monograph for family will be there, monograph for class will be there. So all this is information about the first chapter, living world. I think we understood the lecture. So in the next class, we will talk about the second chapter, biological classification. If you like the content, like, share, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.